as Gay said, and actually thank you to our previous speaker to also touched on the idea of the power of creativity and the importance of creativity, you have a presentation on creativity. So what we're looking at today is really discussing the themes around how we can best look at and value the human connections that can be put into creative executions, particularly in B2B digital marketing. So in terms of looking at this, what we're going to cover today is 4 key areas. The first is really just that broad touch point around what are some of those issues that we do face typically in this space, just to sort of provide some context to what the ladies are going to talk through in terms of addressing those challenges, what some of the solutions are, and importantly, the value of measurement in this, because as we all know, you can do amazing creative, you can get results, but if you're not measuring it, it's very difficult to justify that ongoing. We'll also explore some of the relationship pieces that we have and that partnership that's been enduring between Nielsen and LinkedIn over a very long period of time. Seth Goodwin, the US author and marketing strategist, said, "The only way to consistently grow in B2B is to be better than very good." Now that's no mean feat, considering the challenges that actually are faced in this space. It can be really hard to build trust and particularly establish credibility online, given B2B decision making is often inundated with a range of different options and a dearth of information. B2B products are often intricate, they're complex, they have content that needs to be dialed back from the highly technical to the more tangible, and indeed the non-technical as the case may be. Reaching the right target audience can be hard because the funnel metrics are difficult due to, again, communication platforms and the diversity in which they live. But typically they also involve multiple decision makers. Crafting campaigns that stand out in this space is difficult, and there's a range of competing priorities that can be hard to really juggle. Innovation still needs to be there though, so how do you rationalise the two? How do you bring the two together? I think the other challenge here that we see is that with this type of market, a B2B market can sometimes be a little bit more stifling, it can be a little bit more conservative, and at times it can also maybe not seem as sexy as some of the B2C creative that can be put out there, and trying to bring that together is often a bit of a challenge. As recently as last year, Marketing Magazine actually published an article, and the title of it really captured this. It said, "Is your B2B marketing boring your customers?" You know, really trying to bring through something very quick to, generate attention, but it does get to the heart of the truth. What can we do to stand out against what is, seen to be sort of cool and engaging consumer advertisements? And importantly, the sales cycle can be particularly lengthy. Marketing management has to maintain engagement right through that journey, and again, that can be a challenge. So with this in mind, LinkedIn sought to harness the best practice management it could in terms of data capture and to highlight the gains that definitely can be made in the B2B space through smart targeting, through metric-based brand building, and importantly, looking at the powerful role of emotive content and what it can do, particularly in this, what is seen to be potentially rigid world of business marketing. So starting in 2015, Nielsen helped LinkedIn establish and launch a global ad effectiveness program that's still going strong today. And with the help of the teams right around the globe, this program has been able to give LinkedIn a range of measurement tools and outcomes to also give to their clients to justify return on investment, to help them hone creative. At the heart of what we're doing is really brand impact studies, which is not new news to a lot of people here. However, what it is doing at that scale is enabling a rich and effective set of data measurements and tools that can help design, track and talk through any changes that are detected in attitude and perception and creative. So what this has basically meant is we have a core approach of around 10 questions, and it could be about a particular advertiser or vertical. LinkedIn is actually able to precisely look at and identify exposed and non-exposed members through this. They're surveyed simultaneously, and the idea here is to ensure that there's around 3 or 5 KPIs that can be really honed in on for the purposes of understanding the success across the campaign and right across multiple data waves. They can segment these results, they can look at the audiences, and they can look at the performances by things like numbers of exposures or creative types. To date, over 1,000 studies have taken place, and it continues to grow on a daily basis. That has also enabled them to extend insights and learnings, normative development in terms of compare and contrast campaigns across 17 different categories. And the key success of this has very much been able to, I guess, be underpinned by the stability of the program right across the globe, from questionnaire design, sampling, reporting, analysis, and the scalability of the systems that have enabled people to come in and out of that journey on both sides, at Nielsen and at LinkedIn, over that period of time. Also, it's enabled us to really understand the drivers or the elements that are underpinning this market, but also to provide other advice on market mix modelling, around share shift analysis and other ad hoc studies, which we'll cover in this presentation in a minute. So it's really underpinned what they can do in the B2B space. So what have we seen overall in terms of these brand impact studies? Just a couple of key things. So before we hand over to the girls, we can see probably 3 key things that really stand out. Firstly, salience is important. We need to be able to ensure that we're keeping that content honed towards the target audience at all time, and understanding, importantly, the ingredients of successful creative recipes. And again, we'll talk through that in a little bit more detail. Frequency, the cadence of the campaign does need to cut through these other campaigns that they're competing against, but of course, there's also that challenge that there's multiple decision makers and a long cycle. Very important. When you think it's time to stop, we would urge you to think again and evaluate whether you still should be, in fact, still be in market. A study that we conducted around about the time of the pandemic showed that in that second half of 2020, where brands had stopped advertising in this space, we could actually start to see revenue declines of up to 11% by 2021. So it does have an impact. It is material. And these long decision cycles are also peppered with the challenge that your decision maker today may not be evident. That decision maker might be someone who's moving through the ranks in an organisation. They may be part of campaigns but not ultimate decision makers. The value of your brand, the value of what you're doing, does give you that ability to start shaping future reference for anyone who's in those organisations or making decisions. A case in point around the value of longevity here is just demonstrated with this slide here. So marketing over time, we can see across some of these main metrics, be it awareness, familiarity, or consideration, the stability of continuing activity has maintained stability in these awareness measures and these results over time. Very important to think about this, and I guess there's some other elements that the girls will talk through now that will really, I guess, show you how that can be done at a creative level and at that emotional level. So I'd now like to hand over and let them talk through some of the challenges, the solutions, and indeed the importance of measurement in a more granular way. Over to you. Thanks very much, Ty.
Thank you. Thank you for having us. Ty Heath here from LinkedIn's B2B Institute think tank. So appreciate the introduction. We are obsessed with mental models at the B2B Institute, which is just a fancy way of saying that we like frameworks to use to make complicated things simple. And so one of the frameworks that I know we're all familiar with is the marketing funnel. It's one of the most well-known mental models in all of marketing. Our issue with it, however, is that it isn't very customer or finance centric. So instead, what we're offering you today is the cash flow funnel that you're looking at on the slide. So you flip the funnel on its side and you look at things over time, and it becomes a much more customer and finance centric way to look at marketing. And with this funnel, customers aren't in the awareness stage or the consideration stage. They're either in market or out market for your solution. And if they're out market, they're not thinking about your brand or category at all. 95% of B2B buyers are out market at any given time. And those future buyers, as you can see on the slide, are the source of future cash flows, which is how businesses are evaluated in financial markets. So ultimately, we need to balance both long-term and short-term marketing. We need activation to maximize short-term sales, and we need brand to maximize long-term sales. The challenge is that today advertisers tend to focus on short term with lead generation versus long term with brand, in part because brand is difficult to measure. But brand is not a matter of lead generation, it's a matter of memory generation. So let's take a closer look at it because we need to think about measurement in a different way. It also offers a wonderful upside opportunity. So moving to the next slide here, we have an example from the world of B2B tech ads. So most B2B tech ads are not effective today. Our analysis of over 600 ads revealed that 71% of them had no effect on market share growth 6 months or more past the ad's initial showing. Why is that? The issue is most B2B ads rely too much on creative elements that at best have little positive effect on viewer emotions and at worst have a negative effect on viewer emotions. So in this example, B2B tech ads are using things like business settings, 71% of the voice over 78%, neither of which is likely to produce strong positive emotions, and that's the key. We need creative elements that evoke emotion. Elements that evoke negative or no emotion reduce the likelihood that a viewer will pay attention to an ad, which reduces the likelihood that a viewer will actually remember the brand or buy the brand. So we have a bit of a dilemma here, and that's what the conversation is about today. For advertisers in any vertical, measurement is really a search for the truth. Done correctly, can provide brands answers to questions like what works, for whom, and what would work better. And in B2B, the search can be particularly complicated. So we have longer sales cycles, complex buying committees, unclear attribution. So there are some challenges we face in finding the measurement numbers we need to get more budget from our finance department, right? We know that cash flow, cost management, risk management, all of these things are important. And these things show up more readily on the lead generation side. But what about the brand side? Because we know CFOs prefer math to magic, so more is required. So I'm going to turn it over to Helen as we start to explore some solutions for measurement. And I'll come back after she runs through those pieces.
Thanks, Ty. So first thing first, you've got to ask yourself, who really is my audience? On the B2B side, the buying committee is becoming larger and ever-changing. According to LinkedIn's data, 40% of professionals change their jobs every 4 years. So when you're building an audience, you want to consider your decision maker, your influencers, implementers, and your end users. And once you identify your audiences, it's really important that you understand the motivations of all those personas. And empathy math, important to them, what's going on in their personal and professional world. And the second part of that is to understand that what each of those personas' journey is to becoming a customer of yours. Christine, next slide. Yeah, thank you. What are the triggers that are advancing them through the journey? What is their role in the decision? It's not just about getting a message in front of the specific person, but also getting a message that resonates with their current mindset. Moving on to solution number 2, we need messages that overcoming some mental hurdles for our audience in their customer journey. We need to make sure that our brand is memorable to them, because we know brands with the largest share of mind have the largest share of sales. We also need to go beyond the memorability. Ideally, we want them to recall a brand as a solution to a specific buying trigger they might experience. Yeah, we know buying motivations can be a lot of different things to a lot of different products, but if we can associate our brand to key buying triggers for our audience, then we will be the solution they think of when they move into a buying phase. Lastly, we want to make sure we're minimizing the perceived risk for our audience where we can. The buying decision they're making come with personal and professional risk, their time, reputation, and even their career. The more we can position ourselves as a sure bet, the easier it will be to get these customers across the line. We have an example from a customer, Siemens, and this chart here illustrates how you can start to associate your brand with buying motivation. Here, the brand is really zoning in on relevant pain points for factories, and Siemens is directly addressing these various buying motivations and driving the association that their product is the solution for these challenges. Now, based on years of experience working with B2B marketers, we distilled 5 creative best practices that we like to share with you here today. Of all the 5 best practices, we like to highlight the importance of embracing emotional connections. This is the one that actually in the past, the content marketers have been hesitant to embrace on LinkedIn. However, as more of the sales cycles is taking place in the virtual world and more advertisers are investing more in digital marketing, we've seen that embracing emotional connection is absolutely critical for top brands to stand out. And why is that? Because we know that human brains are wired to remember emotions, not facts. Connecting with the audience helps us stand out and stay top of mind. Well, I know this might sound a little bit theoretic, so I want to follow up with some numbers for you. We teamed up with IPA Data Bank. This is an organization in UK that has tons of case studies for marketing campaigns. In analyzing B2B campaigns going back to 1998, we were able to see that when marketers pulled in emotion to their ads, they saw more revenue, profit, and market share growth. Next slide. Ads that provoke more intense positive emotions are more likely to receive attention, be remembered, and consequently contribute to brand sales. Our measurement partner System 1, who is headquartered in UK, has similar link to highly positive emotional ad with higher market share growth. So we use the metric that by System 1 that measure viewers' positive emotional response to an ad. We explore how different creative elements are associated with positive viewer emotions in the B2B tech ads. And here are some of the winning elements. Here's a real life example. In the summer of 2021, AWS launched a series of video ads. Instead of featuring facts about products and services, the creatives took a different approach to feature day-to-day scenes to connect with the viewers emotionally. The creatives are relatable and personal. They bring the value of service to life. The series videos generate millions of video views on LinkedIn and drove brand lifts across the funnel. Another successful example, here's a Meta for Business campaign in APAC. Using the same formula by embracing the emotional connection, this campaign as well led to brand lifts across the board. In the previous section, we talked about measurement dilemma in B2B advertising. Now I'm going to bring back Ty to introduce a proprietary LinkedIn tool for the measurement challenge. To you, Ty.
All right, thank you so much. So how do we measure brand? We're on a mission to make brand marketing just as quantifiable as direct response marketing. So the science of memory and brand may seem magical, but the proof is in the pudding, as they say. The brand that's remembered is the brand that's bought. So to put brand on a level playing field with lead generation, we have to link brand investment to financial results. This means focusing on the metrics that anticipate future cash flows, metrics that tie us closer to finance and let us have more financial conversations with our finance counterparts. So we started a years-long quest to build the CMO scorecard, a framework that helps customers prove and improve the business impact of brand investments. So getting to this slide, the CMO scorecard starts with the marketing inputs that matter most, and those are creative and media. So according to Nielsen, the work we've done with Nielsen, creative and media are the 2 key inputs that contribute most to advertising performance. And multiple studies have identified creative as the single most important driver of advertising effectiveness after category and brand size. And typically, creative quality is found to account for around half of a campaign's effectiveness. So we have to learn to grab attention and create lasting memory structures that will influence a buyer's later decision making. Then there's media, which we also know as reach. To earn attention, content has to have the opportunity to be seen. And for brand building, reach is paramount. Without reach, nothing else matters. You have to reach someone, earn their attention, build a memory structure in order to influence a future sale. So, creative and media are the inputs. They're the two levers in the toolkit to build a strong brand. But critically, our CMO scorecard links these inputs to the outcomes you would expect to see reflected with strong brands. What are those things? Strong brands hire top talent, market effectively, and the sales team is empowered. And all of these things we can measure on the LinkedIn platform. So the CMO scorecard is designed to highlight the fact that effective marketing is actually a growth center for all business priorities, hiring, marketing, and selling. It's an investment in the company's future, not just a cost of driving incremental sales. And so that brings us to the mental model CMO, creative times media equals outcomes. That's the formula for B2B growth. When we look at creative, it's about how effectively does creative drive attention, branding, and linkage. Media, how effectively, evenly, and efficiently do we reach the category? And outcomes, how effectively does advertising drive business outcomes? Let's dive a little bit more deeply into each of these metrics to get a better understanding. Okay, so moving on to creative. How do we measure creative quality? We score our creative on 3 metrics. Years of research have shown that creative must get attention, have distinctive brand assets, and then link to specific buying situations to maximize long-term advertising equity. Guess what? We have a formula for this. It's ABLE, ABL. So you can use the ABLE framework to easily remember the key inputs that generate creative effectiveness. Attention, branding, and linkage equals equity, ABLE. So buyers must notice an ad to produce a response. If you don't get attention, there's no effect. To get attention, ads must feel personally or professionally relevant. The longer people look at an ad, the more likely it is to be effective. But for that to happen, it needs to stand out. That's crucial. So we use dwell time to help identify which of the creatives are failing to gain attention. And then when you realize that the answer to that, you stop using the ones that don't work and redeploy your investment to your high attention creatives. And that allows you to scale your high performers and grow your share of attention. Now, moving on to media. Let's turn to the specific metrics here. Effectiveness, evenness, and efficiency. So we've got triple E here. Effectiveness, how many category buyers do our ads reach relative to competitors? Evenness, how evenly do we spread our spend over the year? And efficiency, how do we balance spend across objectives to optimize for cost per reach? So let's talk about effectiveness as an example. To influence future buyers, brands have to choose the most effective way to extend the brand's footprint and reach relevant segments of buyers outside of buyers already buying and researching the brand. So the key here is we want to reach new buyers, new employees, and new stakeholders. And competitive reach is a metric that gives us an understanding of whether a specific brand is punching above the competitive weight at the category level. So the chart on this slide shows weekly percentage of audience reached in the US data science category, comparing a client reach to a competitor average reach. And so that share of audience is helpful to understand how we're reaching key buying audiences. And now let's talk about outcomes to bring this train to the station. So simply put, the point we're making tonight is that brand is pulling a lot of weight. And the bottom line is that brand exposure in any situation, it means more chances to get a response in marketing, hiring, and sales. And we want measurement principles that help us make the financial case for brand investment and also articulate the true value of marketing to other people in the organization. So from a marketing standpoint, we need to understand, are we helping marketers get more recall and more leads? From a sales standpoint, we want to understand, are we helping our sellers get more responses and more meetings? And then from a hiring standpoint, are we helping our recruiters hire better talent faster? So this analysis on the slide helps us understand how brand ads link to cross-business outcomes. So you can see the correlation up and to the right, whether it's marketing, sales, or hiring, a greater reach relates to more leads, sales outcomes, and influenced hires. So that is CMO Scorecard. Excited to say that this report is fully available for everyone to dive into and at a deeper level. The QR code is here on the slide if you have your phone handy, and otherwise we can send it out and make it available. I will say, do feel free to connect with us, and we can also share it that way. So as we close out here, I'm going to turn it back over to Kirsten to take us home with some summary points. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. As you can see, there are a rich tapestry of information and some really interesting science that's been pulled through a range of studies that have taken place over time. So if there was 4 things that we're going to leave you with today, the first thing is be bold, stand out from the crowd. It is competitive, we all know that, but give it a go and ensure that you've got that emotional connection, because that's the piece that's going to make, as we've seen, incremental difference, particularly at the bottom line level. Make the intangible tangible. It's sometimes a difficult sector, but it's possible to bring people into it emotionally and connect better when you bring it to their level. Decision-making cycles are long. I think we've demonstrated that as well. But importantly, having consistent frameworks enable us to not only understand in the moment and how to change and how to course correct, but over time, looking at what that normative data is and how it actually collectively can add value to any of the marketing campaigns that have been put together, and the justification to anyone who needs to validate marketing campaigns into the future. With that, I'd like to say thank you.